Now here's the thing about viewer-submitted games of Zerg versus Zerg. I have seen so many innocent Zerglings die that at some point it becomes a little bit cringy. Sometimes it becomes a little bit difficult to watch just because of the fact that if you don't pay attention to your units for like a split second in Zerg versus Zerg, you may accidentally end up dying. Now what I got for you today is indeed a viewer match, but this is going to be a Diamond League Zerg versus Zerg. Spawning here in the bottom right hand corner of Ascension to IRLE and already going for that very scary 12 pool, we have none other than Great Park, giving his opponent the GL in all uppercase. That's the way you know he's serious about it, because he really does mean that his opponent needs the luck in order to defend this cheese that he has already got on the menu right now. But in the meantime, though, on the other side of the map and playing with the blue Zerg drones, we have none other than Jekyllton. Jekyllton? I don't actually know how to pronounce that, but I think I'm gonna go with Jekyllton. I apologize, by the way, in advance if I butcher your name. This is actually a common occurrence. For those of you that watch the live stream, you'll probably realize that whenever I try to pronounce anyone's nickname in the chat, I've been butchering them, like the names themselves, for like years at this point. Sometimes I look at a nickname and it's just like my brain doesn't connect the dots for some odd reason, and I make it something completely different. But I think that Jekyllton is pretty accurate. At the very least, I think it's going to be. Regardless, though, there's going to be already a handful of Zerglings moving across the map. These first two were a little bit indecisive. They were like, yo, do we really need to leave the main base? Yes, you do. You have to start running across the map because it is your task to try and close out this game early. Now, the player in blue, however, did open up with a very quick Zergling speed as well. So even though Jekyllton is going to be able to get that link speed out, his opponents is still going to be just a little bit faster, but not all too crazy. And on top of that, of course, we did not quite see a hatchery first here from the Zerg in blue, which means that he should, technically speaking, be alright. Now, the Zerglings are just leaving their safety of the natural as well. I don't think those are going to be... okay, no, they're actually not going to be running across the map. I was going to say, I think they are going to be very important here for the defense as well. Jekyllton will be able to catch up with a few of these links so far just fine. Great Park does decide to back up for just a little bit. He doesn't want to lose any unnecessary, and so far it's well played by both of these guys. Look at that cute little micro right there. Keeping those weakened Zerglings in the front, or at the very least in the front of like running away, making sure that they will indeed not end up dying. Now, Jekyllton is indeed chasing quite a bit. There is no Baneling Nest follow-up here from either player just yet. As a matter of fact, both of them currently have absolutely no gas whatsoever. I guess Great Park, though, did put 8 in the bank, so, you know, he's got that one going for himself, but he's not mining any gas whatsoever. Link speed is, however, going to finish up quite a little bit earlier, and this is that timing window that is oh so very important, although he is wasting a lot of time trying to reroute a lot of these Zerglings. Eventually, the surround does come in, and that means that Great Park all of a sudden has a massive influx of units that he's immediately going to be sending across the map. Jekyllton, in a bit of a panicked state right now, he's immediately throwing up 3 spine crawlers. I think those are going to be very important. He's desperately trying to figure out if there's a position where he could potentially hold with these queens. The queens immediately, though, do end up getting surrounded. There are so many holes in this wall. This is like me playing Protoss. I, for the life of me, cannot construct a proper wall, but here we do see the Zerglings going into the main base. Really nice little push by Great Park. Oh no, Great Park! Great Park! Great Park, why would you do that? That is so mean. He's giving his opponent the offensive GG. Now, here's one thing, though, that Great Park hasn't quite realized just yet. Sure, he's dealing a lot of damage, and sure, he may be able to even clean up the main base, but he killed, like, no workers in this game. As a matter of fact, right now, Jekyllton is actually ahead when it comes to the worker count, and he definitely needs to do a crucial amount of damage if he plans on finishing up this game. More and more Zerglings are now indeed spawning as well. Great Park completely forgetting how to macro, because in the meantime, while this is going on, he's desperately trying to construct a couple, or at the very least a single queen, but that Spinecrawler ends up rooting. The reinforcing Zerglings arrive, and Jekyllton manages to defend. Beautiful little play, though, by Great Park. Really nice maneuvering there, but I have to be honest with you, that offensive GG, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, apparently, he wants to commit to this for a little while longer. He's gonna be sending the links into the main base. Those were sacrificed for the Blood God, because they achieved absolutely nothing other than take a couple of opposing Zerglings to the grave as well. But Jekyllton, indeed, has managed to stabilize for the time being. Great Park, apparently, though, he's a little bit confused right now, right? He already gave the GG. Right? He's already given the GG. What exactly are you gonna do now? Alright, well, apparently, awkwardly, he's gonna continue onwards with this push while also trying to squeeze out a couple of drones. He's now also getting himself a spine crawler, knowing fully well that he's likely not gonna be able to break his opponent here. I wonder how stupid he feels right now. Right? I always wonder that. Whenever someone, like, offensively BMs me, and they end up not actually winning the game right then and there, I always wonder how stupid they feel. Because it happens actually quite a bit. Interestingly enough, I've been playing this game for, like, 8 years right now, and I play at a pretty high level, right? We're playing mostly against like top 500, top 1000 players. There's still people like amongst that rank as well that will just offensively BM you for no apparent reason. I really don't know why. Now, beautiful cutoff though by Jackleton right there. Look at that. Getting this around on a handful of those Zerglings. So Great Park, though, has been doing a solid job right now transitioning, going back into the standard game. I actually really like the decision making right here from the player in red, though, all things considered. I mean, he's smartly transitioning back towards more drones, still squeezing out a couple of Zerglings here and there, and I actually think that these 10 links he just made are completely pointless. As a matter of fact, he's morphing in the Banes inside of the range of that Overlord, so Jackleton should know exactly what's going on, and look at this defense, right? I mean, the Banes are in the corner of the screen, but Jackleton has got 2 queens, a handful of Zerglings. Don't uproot that. Jackleton, you crazy. Okay, no, he's got more than enough defenses here to try and deal with this. I don't see what the Banelings could possibly go ahead and do. You know what? Both players in this point, or at this point in the game, really need to start droning up. We do see a pretty heavy supply block right now, though, for the player in blue. He's going to desperately try and get 4 of these Overlords out right now. Great Park still awkwardly adding on a couple of units every once in a while. And both players actually are playing this out pretty smartly, although they're all playing a little bit more panicked than you really want to be. In particular, like, if you're the player in blue right now, you can probably drone up to, like, 40 plus workers with ease, rather than, like, you know, sitting scared over here right behind the wall. 3 spine crawlers and 2 queens are gonna hold for a very long amount of time. I would even love to see like a counter attack right now with all of these Zerglings, because this is a little bit awkward, right? This is a little bit awkward. By the way, if you are planning on defending with these Zerglings, I would highly recommend like you spread out the Zerglings a bunch. I mean, I can already smell a single Baneling going into the center of that juicy Zergling clump, and then it will just, you know, desperately end up dying. Apparently, though, they're gonna have a quick little peek out, and then they're gonna probably return back home. Yeah, run. Yeah, he could actually just stop this push, but just going for a counterattack instead. It would be so much smarter and so much easier. Nice little bit of micro, though, trying to make sure that he gets as much value out of these Zerglings as possible. There we go, detonating a couple of the Banes. Nice little bit of micro there by the player in blue, but Great Park has been using this time to tech up, and I actually really like this decision making here. Look at that. Right, he's got himself 44 workers. He's made the Spire right now, and even though he's gone for a little bit of offensive GGing in this game, and he's playing, you know, a little bit like a jerk, right? He's probably a bit of an ass right now, you know, just judging from the couple of things he said so far. He's actually got the skills to back it up as well. I mean, he's playing this really well. I actually really do like the idea that he's, you know, following this game up with. I would have really liked to see a 3rd base go down for him, maybe a little bit sooner as well. All of these spines are nice, but you really do need those 5th and the 6th gases if you plan on playing a you know, heavy focus right here on Mutalisk, or at the very least, if you want to switch into like an economic advantage, the Mutas usually allow you to buy a lot of time, and having that 3rd base up would be really sweet, but Jackleton is gonna do exactly that as well in the meantime on the other side of the map, and this is usually what the Muta player wants to deny, as he does start up that 3rd hatchery. And this is actually a really important structure right now. Both players actually get it up and running right around the same time. Jackleton is now gonna be switching towards the hatchery too, getting himself some additional gases here as well. Actually, still not having enough workers, though. Jackleton is sitting on only 31 Harvesters. That's not enough. You're really... Oh, look at this. Oh, what? Alright, alright. Pacifists right here. They don't really care. They just wanted to hug. A couple of the Banes managed to stay alive, and a couple of these Roaches also escaped with their lives right there. But there's no denying right now that this is a very aggressive push here by the player in blue. And while he does have a lot of units, the Mutas are gonna come out here, and they will be able to clean up these Roaches here sooner or later. Here we go. Roaches are gonna go for the push anyway. I like this decision, though, not going for the turnaround. Do have to be careful. Those Zerglings did end up dying there, but the spines at the front are going to be absolutely crucial, as Great Park manages to pick up all of those units very, very easily. And while in the meantime, right, we do finally see that transition towards the spore crawlers and now the Hydra den, there are still not enough workers. We really do need about 60 workers to try and pull this off if we are the Zerg player in blue. Great Park, though, did indeed secure himself a very nice advantage. That third base just finished up. For him right now, I would actually love to see him go ahead and drone up this third base. Instead of these 14 Zerglings, I think drones would have been a much better option. You likely do want to switch to watch, for example, like a Roach Hydra or even a Roach Lurker-based army, because mutas eventually do fall off. No matter how good they are at this point in the game, eventually Hydras and Lurkers and you know, Infestors and whatnot will come out and they deal a lot of damage. But there's still not really enough workers to really call this one an advantage just yet. I mean, for either of these players, right? Both are sitting on 3 bases, both have roughly 40 Harvesters. Jekyllton only just now setting that one up, and we all know that in the game of drones, you win or you die, right? There is no middle ground. Having that base up and running is very important in Zerg vs Zerg, even though it's a little bit scary. Usually, you're in a really nice spot if you do manage to get up to 50 workers and you don't die in the process. And speaking of which, Great Park has now transferred a bunch of the drones from the main base. He really needs more workers. There we go. He finally adds on 8 more. I like that one a lot. You need roughly 66 or so to transfer, or rather to properly saturate 3 bases. You can obviously give or take a couple of those, but there's no denying that you definitely need more than 52. But there's also no denying right now that Jekyllton is in a bit of an awkward position. I mean, he's got a lot of queens, and actually, there's like one counter that you can do as well. If you are the player in blue right here, you could go for like a Nidus network, or like Overlord drops. Both are actually, yeah, he goes for the Nidus. Are you kidding me? Okay, I haven't seen this game, but there we go. He apparently decides to go ahead and put down the Nidus network. Now, Great Park is scouting it. Great Park immediately sees what's going on, although he didn't click on it just yet. He may make the assumption that that is like the infestation pit, because it does look pretty similar there if you don't click on it. But it is actually becoming a little bit scary, because there is a single Overseer right now in the back of the main base of the player in red. Jekyllton has a massive army, and of course, the advantage of having this Nidus network, right, is that it gives you the chance to also bring along the queens. And there are, how many queens out? 7 queens at this point for the player in blue. There's not that many drones anymore. The longer that this goes on, the more the advantage of the player in red here, of Great Park, will become apparent. But here we do see that Nidus network going up inside of the main base of Great Park. He has been checking around the map to see if there are any Overlords, but he missed this Overseer because, of course, they are significantly faster. And here's the scream. The Nidus has arrived and it's gonna unload all of those queens inside of the base. Question is there going to be enough right now for Great Park to clean this one up? Jekyllton has been behind this entire game, even though his opponent has offensively GG'd. All of a sudden, right, with this many units inside of the main, this could become very scary. The amount of queens and then also the amount of mutas here are going to be very interesting. Here we go. We are going to see this engagement develop right now. Hydras will be able to help out as well, but I think that there may just be a little bit too much anti-air here for Jekyllton. There we go. The mutas are going to be forced to retreat. 10 more do get built here. Both players apparently slipping up in the macro. Imagine if these 1500 minerals were spent on Zerglings at this point in the game. That would absolutely shut this one down. Another Nidus network, though, does eventually get started here. That means that this player is going to continuously be able to, of course, reinforce this army. Jekyllton is going to take it a little bit easy, but here are the additional mutas that are now coming out. At the same time, though, more and more Hydras decide to pop out of that Nidus worm. There are no Banelings really available here for the player in blue. A couple of them will try to connect with all of these Hydras. There we go. They do get a nice detonation. The mutas are still dealing so much damage, but the Hydras in the back, right, with all of those transfuses, I think it may just be a little bit too much. This is a very close hold, although eventually Great Park is going to be able to clean up the units that were here. More and more reinforcements are now also arriving through the Nidus network, and I think that Jekyllton, in a game that was essentially lost, has managed to do it in a very well fought game. Now, if I may go ahead, right, and give a tip to both of these guys, I would highly recommend you try to squeeze out a lot more workers. I mean, workers are fine and dandy, but with that also a bunch more larvae. Because imagine, right, if Great Park was capable of producing non-stop Zerglings here with these nearly 2,500 resources that he's got, and he would be able to just simply surround these queens and hydras, this would obviously get shut down very easily. But Shackleton, with a nice cheeky strategy, going for the worm inside of the main base of his opponent, he manages to go for a counter, and this is definitely an option, right? If you ever see yourself being behind and your opponent is playing mutas, this is definitely an option because queens are really good. I still think queens are probably the strongest unit in all of StarCraft 2. Like, I mean that. Like, the queen is probably the most powerful, well-rounded unit in all of StarCraft 2. The only downside is that they, don't move off creep very quickly and they don't really deal that much damage, but the combination of their spells, as well as the fact that they don't need any larva, as well as the fact that they don't cost any gas, makes them absolutely ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you actually have an awesome game yourself as well, you can go ahead and submit it to replays@LowkoTV, just a simple email address. That way I can hopefully go ahead and cast your game in the future, but please keep in mind that we receive hundreds, so, they first go through a pretty strict selection process. But regardless, if you enjoyed watching this video, do make sure you hit that like button down below. If you didn't like it, I guess you can go ahead and hit that dislike button as well, although I would be surprised if you made it to this point in the video. But besides that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. But I'll see you all in the next one.